close. I see the world, but it's through this window. Another side to see, I'm ready to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. He's from the city, she's from the south. Two different chapters told miles out. Their back row living in his White House. So many stories that I need to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. So many stories right in front of me. Some people climb to heights I've never seen. Too many falling down off their feet. These stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. Why you're the way you are. Why you're the way you are. Tiptoe around with face of a stranger. Quiet observer, never get too close. I see the world, but it's through this window. Another side to see, I'm ready to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. He's from the city, she's from the south. Two different chapters told miles out. Their back row living in his White House. So many stories that I need to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are.
welcome to Silver Sunday on this Sunday, June the 13th. Sorry, I had to pull up my calendar. And I was trying to get one last share that we're going live. Thank you all and welcome. We plan to have lots of fun tonight, chatting away. And I'll get it started before we get introductions. I'll get it started with a Kickstarter update. To let you know that the thank you page today is Sunday. I asked all of you to have your surveys done by Wednesday, but I gave you a little bit of time in case a couple of you stragglers didn't get it done. But I have the thank you page finished now, and as soon as our stream is over tonight, I am going to be ordering all the stuff from Kablam and get those orders placed in so we're in good shape. For those of you who might be wondering about the last Kickstarter, which I hope you're not wondering about that, because that one is completely fulfilled with the exception of one person who never responded to the survey and never responded to my emails. And so I got a comic with your name on it, but you didn't answer me, so I don't know where to send it. So yeah.
Sorry, Roland.
Yes, sir. Oh no, that wasn't you. I know where you're at.
Yeah.
So we're jamming for the double feature Divinity 2 and Steam Patriots 1. We're in really good shape with that. I was really excited to see we didn't have any dropped backers for this one. That actually makes 2 in a row now that we didn't have any dropped backers. I'm very, very, very excited for that, because all the ones before that we had 1, 2, maybe 3 drop backers, but for the last 2 Kickstarters there's no drop backers, so that's very, very exciting. And these books look good. I know I've been looking at them for the last 3 days as I'm prepping all the files, getting them ready to send to our printer Kablam. As you can see here, I'm flying their colors today. And so just as soon as they can get them off of the press, they will get them in my hands, and then we will get them out to you. So that is exciting. So that is it for the Kickstarter update. Curtis, why don't you introduce let me try this one more time. Introduce the group to everyone. That's what I was trying to say.
Yes, I will, and I'll be sure not to put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. So let's go around. First up, we have John Martin, inker extraordinaire. I'll let him give a little bit of details about himself. John,
hey,
go ahead.
I'm the exhausted inker for Wolf Hunter and Friar Rush. And I've done a couple of covers, and I've done some stuff for Upper Deck, and I've done some stuff for Dynamite. And did I mention I'm tired today? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I make white pages look dirty.
All right. And next up is all the way from, I believe, the San Fernando Valley, the hottest place in Los Angeles. Colorist Roberta Conroy. Roberta, why don't you tell the folks about yourself?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Roberta Conroy. I'm a former Malibu comic colorist, and I've been doing that a while. Just getting ready to finish up a new book called The Silverline Team Up, Champion and Miss Fury. So that is something to look forward in the coming months. Be ready to start that soon. Too. I'm so excited. It's great. So I'm coloring that, and I'm also coloring Cat and Mouse for the next issue. So that's coming up soon, hopefully. We'll be getting more inks or beyond that. So yeah, that's it. Otherwise, I'm just a colorist.
Just a colorist. All right. Very good, very good. And next up is Aaron Humphreys, the creator of Godlings, amongst many other things. So I'm going to let Aaron tell us about himself. There you go. Go for it, Aaron.
What do you want to know? I am the penciler on Fire Rush, and I'm the penciler in the upcoming Obsoletes, which I'm working on now as I'm talking to you. At least the Christmas special. And then I also am finishing up my Goblins, which I hopefully will get up by the end of the year. So I have lots of stuff happening in the works. Yeah, I think that's it. That's our stuff. Yeah.
Excellent. Very good. And Quentin J. Bedwell, the penciler on Trumps and a phenomenal artist. Quentin, why don't you tell the folks a little bit more about yourself?
Coming in from San Angelo, Texas. I'm currently working on the pencils and inks for Trump's Book 3. I currently have a game that's an open beta on Game Crafter called Relic Quest. Very fun game. But most important thing right now is Trump's, and I'm really enjoying doing it. I love the characters that Roland has made and the entire world. And I'm just really glad to be working with everybody on this. It's pretty awesome.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. And speaking of Roland Mann, he needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyways and let him talk a little bit about himself. Roland, please go ahead.
Thank you, Curtis. Yes, I am Roland, and I am the writer of such Silverline titles as Cat and Mouse and Trumps and The Rejects and Bear and the Silverline Team Up, which I'm so excited about because it's coming along and looks so good. So what the viewers don't know is that we've got a little secret Discord channel, and I've shared the last couple of pages in there, and it keeps popping up, and I keep looking at Roberta's colors on that last page. I'm like,
Oh,
man, that looks so good.
so exciting.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Definitely. And behind the scenes, we have Brett. Brett is our producer. He's also a pro gamer, for PUBG. So you can't hear him, but he's here. He's ever present. He makes everything work for us. So we always appreciate Brett helping us out. And I'm Curtis Fujita. I'm the creative director at Silverline. I'm also the head instructor of my martial arts school, Tiger Crane Kung Fu. And I'm combining both passions, and I'm working on my new comic book called Shadow Ghost. It's the Kung Fu comic by a Kung Fu master. So stay tuned for that. Okay. And I'm going to hand it back to Roland for the next part. So there you go.
Thank you, Curtis. I appreciate it, man. So Aaron, tell us about the merch store in Indie Planet.
You can find all of our comics. We make comics, right?
Yes,
like little comic book stuff. Yeah, we make little comic books. You can find them all in Indie Planet, and we have our own Silverline store on Indie Planet. You can find all our stuff. So you can buy physical copies and then read our comics. Because that's what we want you to do. It's more of a command, isn't it, than a suggestion.
It is. Thank you, sir. And before we dive in, we can't forget our sponsors. Roberta, tell the folks who our sponsors are, please.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we have History Camp as one of our sponsors. It is a project of the nonprofit, The Pursuit of History. They offer weekly interviews with history authors, which could be viewed every Thursday on their website on historycamp.org. On July 10th, they'll be hosting History Camp America. So we also have Daytona Beach Comic-Con. So that's exciting. They are coming up on September 18th and 19th. So meet comic book artists and writers and creators like us, as it's the home convention for Silverline Comics. So look up Daytona Beach Comic-Con.
Excellent. Okay, so before we launch into here's my of course I know if you're listening to the podcast you're not going to be able to see it, but I'm holding up for all to see my topics for today, and it's on a little 1 inch by half an inch post-it notepad. So before we get into those, we were talking about some trailers before we went live, and I had to go, shh, stop. That's arable material.
I don't know what you're talking about, Roland.
Who are you talking to?
Trailers? What trailers?
So somebody mentioned a He-Man trailer.
I think that was John. I think John mentioned that.
It was.
Yeah, it was me.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't?
I have
You've
not.
been living under a shoe?
Yeah.
No, I've been working.
Working.
No,
What an
I-
excuse.
Right? Yeah, no, it actually looks really good. The trailer.
Yeah, it does. It's so weird. The
Yeah,
one
I
thing I
think
was kind of
Quin-
hoping they would put in is that they because they reuse so much animation in the old series. So I was
Is
kind of
it-
hoping
is it
they'd
gonna
put
be
in
on
the shot of him
Netflix?
running to the side. They
Yeah.
always had in all the cartoons.
What? It's going to be
It's gonna
Netflix?
on
Yeah.
Yeah.
On
Ah,
Netflix.
It's Netflix, and it's animated by Powerhouse Animation. So they're the people that did the Castlevania series and another series on Netflix called Seis Manos. So they're really
My
known
only
for doing
thing
excellent
is
action
that
in their
Joker's.
animation.
I mean, Skeletor sounds a little bit like the Joker.
Love it.
Yeah.
so is
Even
it Mark
though that-
Hamill?
Wasn't it Mark Hamill?
It is Mark Hamill.
It is
but,
Mark
Hamill.
You know, we would
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
a little bit more of a distinct laugh and whatnot out of Skeletor.
Instead of the mirror, see? Instead of the old mob sound.
just
You would die,
just a touch of
He-Man.
W.C. Fields in it, right? That's what it's missing.
Kumquat.
Yeah, he must have been like Al Capone with the Joker laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks
Although
pretty
I think
good.
Quentin heard the rumors that I've heard too. There's rumors though, which is one thing to point out is it's not He-Man, it's Masters of the Universe, and the rumor is that a couple episodes in or after the first episode, He-Man gets sidelined, and it becomes the Tila animated series.
Yeah, the
So
Tila
He-Man, yeah,
The Tila.
We'll
What's
see.
Tila?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
and-
watch it.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know, hopefully, you know-
and that's why it's
You
called.
get to see, Man at Arms give Trapjaw a haymaker in the freaking trailer, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roland looks like he's watching it now.
I am. I have
yeah.
the
Skeletor
volume
really-
off. I have the volume off,
Skeletor-
but I'm watching it.
Skeletor really
I will
looks
say
leveled
this,
up
though.
in this. So I like
Yeah.
that.
And I like.
He's been working out.
The music they picked for the trailer.
Yeah.
It's kind of perfect.
Yeah, really 80s, you know. Yeah, Kevin Smith and is the director, and he was. It's funny, you know.
Wait, Kevin Smith?
I heard him talk about this, and he was, yeah,
Yeah,
course,
that Kevin
yeah.
Smith.
yeah. So he's the director. Yeah, and I had heard, and I verified because I talked to the head of Powerhouse Animation on an interview once, and that he basically told Kevin Smith, like, don't worry about the action. Whenever it gets to a part in the script, just write the words "fighty, fighty, fighty," and we'll handle it from there. Don't worry about describing the action. We'll handle it. And when I got the chance to talk to Brad Graber, I asked him off the record, but here we are talking about it. I said, "Is this true? Did you tell Kevin Smith just put fighty, fighty, fighty?" He goes, "Yeah, I told him." I said, "Don't worry about writing anything about the action. We know what we're doing. Whenever you want action, just put the words fighty, 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 and we'll take it from there."
Nolan's now going to do that when
So-
he has action scenes in his books. Fighty, fighty, fighty.
Yeah.
Fighty, fighty,
I like
fighty.
that.
Yeah, my scripts are not going to say fighty, fighty, fighty. That's pretty interesting.
Combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just finished talking about Mark Hamill's voice. We just finished Avatar, Last Airbender.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah,
and of
yeah,
course, yeah, and of course, Mark Hamill is the Fire Lord. He voices the Fire Lord. So,
I just
So we-
love his voices. I love them, every one of them, and I don't even care that they sound a lot the same. But it's so cool. I love it.
Ozai sounds different than the Joker. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't
Yes,
even
he
know
does.
they were the same, and the same voice actor until I actually found out a couple of years later.
yeah,
So that's actually distinct, but you just hear a little too much of the Joker in Skeletor.
we actually watched those out of order. We watched the Legend of Korra,
Okay.
and really,
Damn.
really. Well, I didn't know. I mean, my thing about it is that I saw the image for Avatar, and I'm like, just didn't sing to me, And the Korra stuff looked pretty good. I like the anime, I like the stills that I saw, and so I'm like, let's try this
Uncle
out.
Iroh really makes the Last Airbender.
Oh yes, he does. Yeah. In fact, he was missing for a bunch of that last season, and I didn't like those near as much. Someone told me that I would like Avatar better than Korra. I don't think that I do though. I enjoyed it, but I think I like Korra better than Avatar. But now the thing about it is, in watching Avatar, I realized that there was a lot of tie-ins in The Legend of Korra from Avatar, because I can remember Iroh showing up, and I remember Fire Lord, and I remember them, and I'm like, they didn't mean anything to me in Korra, right? Because they were just characters coming in. But now I'm kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool the way that's all tied in, and I kind of want to go back and watch Korra again now that I've seen the Avatar. Okay, we straight. What was the other trailer that
Just don't call it an anime. Anime fanboys will get mad.
why is it not anime?
They say it's not an anime.
Why? Was it not produced by Japanese?
I think
that's the
done by a
interesting
Korean
thing, right?
studio, right?
Yeah, it was animated in Korea, but actually almost all anime is animated in Korea nowadays. I think it's just the idea that it was Brian Konietzko and DiMartino are Americans that came up with the series. But for all intents and purposes, it's anime. I mean, the quality, the aesthetic,
anime
everything,
fanboys
So
say it's not anime, so you can't include it in anime.
I watched it thinking it was anime, so
It's anime.
So what was this E3 thing that you mentioned?
Oh, E3.
There's a new Guardians of the Galaxy video game trailer. It's really long, but it looks cool. It's by Eidos in Montreal, and Eidos originally is the group that did Tomb Raider way back in the day.
Oh,
so
they did
yeah,
they did the Avengers game, which most people don't talk about anymore.
although it's Crystal Dynamics did the Avengers game though, so we can't pin it on Eidos, but it was still Square published it. Yeah, the Avengers game is an absolute dumpster fire.
They fixed a bunch. I know they fixed a bunch of it.
They may have, but
I
think
on it.
A lot of that times that comes too little, too late, I guess. Even if they did make it, everyone's kind of made up. It's one of those typical things. People make up their minds in the first impression, and even if you fix it, make it great.
I know they still haven't fixed the different appearances from the different armor. It all looks the same still, even though
they had
selecting it. Yeah.
They had a special event and where you could earn stuff, and the only thing you could earn is a different nameplate for your character. Everything else you had to buy.
Yeah.
So you could get a nameplate which is like, that's lame, So yeah, greedy game developers.
Shoot, what's the main actor's name?
Oh, which one?
The main who?
Chris what? What's his name?
Chris Pratt.
Oh, Chris Pine.
Chris Pratt.
No, Chris Pratt. Sorry.
Yeah. So I guess they couldn't get Chris Pratt's the likenesses agreement.
No. So yeah, that kind of threw me. All of a sudden, I saw Star-Lord. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm like, that doesn't look like Chris Pratt.
Well, it's just like their Avengers game. None of them are the actual people. It's like a alternate universe version. They all look like the stuntman of Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and stuff like that. The thing that upset a lot of people about the Avengers game is one of the many things is that the story of the game, the story version, not the online mode, the story version, it looks like it's the Avengers, but when you buy it, partway through, as I understand it, all the Avengers quit and get sidelined, and it becomes the Ms. Marvel video game, and she tries to bring everybody back together.
Oh, yeah, that would take me off.
Yeah.
Oh, Roberta, you want to share?
Yeah, and that's the concern.
Oh yeah, I'm working without sharing. Sorry.
Yeah,
Here
that's okay.
go. Mhm.
I just happened to think about it too. Brett, you
So
wanna toss her up half the screen like we usually do, please?
here's what we got.
So what
Working
are you coloring on there, Roberta?
this is Champion Miss Fury page.
Ooh,
Where oh,
nice.
is it there? Yeah, and Champion is being overwhelmed by being taken through a gun show. So they said he had to armor up. I'm guessing he's never been to see that many. I don't know. He just looks so like, everything's too much. So I love that. He looks
Uh,
like he's gonna have a good time. Just wait.
yeah,
So they pick out their weapons.
Cool.
Yeah. So gun
nice.
show. It's like, holy crap,
Sweet.
what's that? I need that.
stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else before I drop the bomb on you guys for our
Uh-oh.
first topic? No. So
No.
let's
Gun
think
shows.
Be gentle.
So be gentle.
Be
So
kind.
this is as broad as I can make it, but the topic is comic covers. Go.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
It's comic covers.
Just go.
Well,
Okay, so are we gonna talk
I-
about the good comic covers or the really horrible comic covers?
Sure.
I was thinking also philosophy,
Sure.
like, approach.
Okay.
on-
I like that.
So how important is it, that especially if you got a character that is going through a lot of changes, I would say, do you want to leave a little surprise or are you teasing for the cover? I like, this is my chance to ask a writer and creator, because I'm like the final line, I get the art already figured out. So I want to know,
Okay,
like,
so
how you figure
yeah.
out what part of the story is the part that you tease in the cover.
So I'm gonna talk for a minute, and then maybe it'll plant seeds in all of you guys for reactions. Because for me, I think there's a couple of things. All right, so we could talk about the idea of does the art on the cover need to reflect some aspect of the story? Is it important? Is it not important? We can talk about that, and that would be fun to talk about. But usually what happens for me, it always boils down to I have to ask the question, what is the purpose of the cover? And the purpose of the cover
Make the person
is
pick it up.
to make the person pick it up. So if it reflects the story or if it doesn't reflect the story, doesn't really matter in the long run, right? It's like, okay, if this is just a beautiful cover and it makes them pick it up, but it is not reflective of the story, then that's really okay because they picked the cover up. So for me, that's kind of what I always go back to, is that the ultimate goal of the cover is to make them pick it up. Okay. Beyond that, I do like it when a cover is reflective of the story on the inside. I like that the reader is able to look at it and get an idea of oh, this is happening, and I think that's particularly important when you have a more established or oh, you know what, I don't have all the chat stuff here. When you have a more established or a long running series, I think that's important, that because you can only do so many pinups, right? Covers for a long running series. I think when you got a mini series, when you got one shots and things like that, it's really easy just to get away with a whole lot of pinup-y kind of stuff, right? So for all of you people who, if you've left any comments on the chat, I apologize. I've just now opened my chat window. If you've said something that you really want me to see, please say it again. And
Shoddy work. Shoddy work.
I forgot all about opening it. So So now, as far as the story, what do you reveal? So I think every story has got or should have some aspect in the issue that is going to be kind of a surprise for the reader. Um, and I think that there are so there are two things, right? There's the surprise, and this is one of the things that you have to think of as a writer. One of the things I talk to my students about a lot. One problem my students have a lot in their writing is when they want something to be a surprise or a mystery for the reader, they also make it a surprise or mystery for the artist. And I'm like, no, 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 you can't do that. You can't just say a mystery figure enters the room, because the artist is going to go, okay, is it Juggernaut or is it Quicksilver? Those two, they have very different body types, right? And so the artist has to know. And so, so there's a secret you're keeping from the reader. There's a secret they're keeping from the characters. Okay, so if you want to say, for instance, let's just use Cat and Mouse. Okay, so we want to say Demon's going to be in this issue of Cat and Mouse. Cat and Mouse don't know this, right? Because he's going to just surprise them. But you can put Demon on the cover, maybe hiding. Well, Alex has done a cover like this, kind of hiding behind the cemetery, and Cat and Mouse don't see him. They're looking around, so they don't see him. It's a surprise. So you're going to say, well, you're giving away the surprise for Cat and Mouse. It's like, no, you're not giving away the surprise for Cat and Mouse. You're giving away the surprise to the reader. He's a surprise character. But the question you have to ask yourself is that, do you want the reader to know that Demon's going to be in there, or do you want them to be surprised by the fact that he's going to be in there? And I think the question that ultimately you kind of have to ask is, are readers going to pick the book up because they see Demon on it, or is it going to make any difference?
That poses a question to me, because I was watching a video recently about storytelling, and I'd be curious, Roland, as a writer. They were talking about how a lot of Disney villains, or where they're the surprise villain at the end, where it was the librarian all along that was the villain, and they were saying how ineffectual they are as villains, and how much better it is. Like, I don't want to say which series, but there's a new series on Amazon that's really good, that's based on a comic book, where they reveal who the villain is very early on, and all the characters don't know. And so, which, do you have an opinion one way or the other? But the point that this person was saying is, it's better to let the audience in on the secret early, so that the stakes are higher, it's more intense. I think it's like, what is that thing Hitchcock said? He goes, if you have two people sitting at a table and a bomb goes off, that's a surprise. But if you have two people sitting at the table and the camera pans down and you see the bombs there while they're having the conversation, that's suspense. And suspense and surprise are two different things.
Right. Yeah.
So what as a writer, what is your take on that?
I like, I personally like letting the reader in on it. I like, because I think suspense is a powerful thing. I think that you can play up stuff. You show them certain things that you want them to see. Of course, this goes back to I don't remember who it was, but the whole gun on the table thing. If you use it, if you put it there, you need to come back later. And this is one of the things Chris Claremont was so good about in the X-Men in the 1980s, is that he would bring these elements in and tease you with it, and then you're like, oh crap, but then you wouldn't see it for 4, 5, 6 issues, and that's the ones he remembered, right? So yeah, I like letting the reader in on it, but not the characters, because you think about it this way, right? Yeah, you've been to the movies where you see the bad guy. Let's just take a horror movie, right? You see the bad guy sneaking up on the protagonist, right? You can hear people in the audience going, don't do it, don't do it, don't go, don't open the door, right? So that's different than the bad guy opens the door and goes, ah, right? That's a jump scare. And those, as a consumer, those just tick me off. It's like, yeah, you're just trying to get me. It's like, aha, gotcha. I would rather kind of see what's going on so that I can anticipate, like, ooh, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna stab? Is he gonna kidnap? Is he gonna, douse him with fire? Is he gonna, what's he gonna do? Right? I mean, I say he, like in the bad, bad guy, but it's that anticipation that I think causes the reader to say, I gotta keep reading because I want to see what this evil person's about to do.
I think
Definitely. Thanks. I was curious about that.
I think Rob Liefeld had a thing on one of his pages about covers, because with all the variant exclusives that everybody's doing and stuff, and how he was holding, like, didn't want a character that he was bringing in on a cover, and a shop ended up putting it on the cover.
Yeah, and he canceled the whole thing, right?
He wasn't notified about it. Oh, he refused. I think the book still got printed out and everything, but or something like that. I don't know.
I think that's the one he quit.
The last I heard, it totally cut it.
Yeah, I think he got
just
so mad.
left.
Yeah, he just quit because he's like this. He's like, there's
Yeah.
only like 3 people knew or something like that, and he's like, this ruins the whole surprise for everything.
Yeah, it's like on to the next.
Yep. Yeah. So, I can't remember what series that was, but yeah, I think he was pretty upset with that.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking
He's-
on
Roberta
Oh,
just makes
sorry,
it
go
look
ahead.
so easy, doesn't it?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice of you. I'm struggling with it a little, but it's good. I'm struggling with technology, not with the color.
Gotcha.
The stream cuts like half of my computer power down, so it's like it's laughing at me when I ask it to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she wants
Like,
to move
oh.
like at full speed, it looks like time lapse.
Yeah, it's like she sped it up.
hmm
So, what do you think, Curtis? Do you agree with that? Have some different thoughts? What do you think?
No, I think you mean as far as the surprise or covers
Yeah.
or
Both.
as okay, I just the one thing is I would rather it be vague, like a cool Art Adams cover where it's just a team shot, or
Mhm.
specific where it shows a scene from the comic book or a section. I don't like it when there's not where I feel cheated, where it doesn't. I don't know if you guys are felt this, but have you ever like looked at the comic book and you look at the cover and you go, that kind of looks like the scene in the book, but not really. Like I didn't get what was
Yeah.
advertised on the front cover. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and
so-
and if I
so-
can parlay that into, oh sorry.
no, go ahead. I think we got a little bit of lag with you. I think.
Oh no, if I can parlay that, yeah. Okay. I'll say this and then I'll log out and come back in. How's that?
Okay.
I think I'd be curious what everybody thinks about when it's the art isn't the same, where it's a different cover artist than the interior and the quality isn't the same, i.e. like a great Adam Hughes cover and then
Yeah.
the inside.
I don't like it.
Whoa.
That's what I was going to. Yeah,
Wow,
he
he
killed
did
that.
it.
Yeah.
That's
well,
what I was
it's-
going to say. Against Roland when he was saying, any cover, like the cover, just as long as it makes you pick up the book, any cover will do. I'm going to push back on that a little bit and say that is #1 killer for me for buying a comic. If I pick up the
Yep.
cover and flip open the book and it's not matching the cover, that book's back on the shelf like that.
Well,
That
not
is
only-
a very huge pet peeve of
Not
mine.
only that, but if it's not even if it's like good art on the cover and bad art inside, I don't even say that. But if it's like this kind of style, and then you open it up and it's like something a little bit, like the
If you're doing a
style is
Western
way
style,
different.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Like if you're open, like if it's a Western, say like a Neil Adams cover, and you open it up and it's like a manga style.
It
or
feels
something.
like I'm being had, and I don't
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that feeling.
Yeah. So I can see any cover. I think you can get any. I mean, let's be honest. If you wanted any cover, anybody to pick any cover, the whole entire row of comics would be covered in like nude women and men. That would just get you to pick up the cover. So, but I mean, that obviously, I mean, if you just want to go straight for like getting people to pick up covers, I mean, they'd be, So
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of honesty and advertise when it comes to the cover, and I think a lot of covers, especially in the days comics, circumvent that. They don't like to do that. There's a lot of covers I pick up, and like, yeah, but it doesn't look like they even like they got the superstar to draw the cover, but then they got like the janitor to draw the inside, which is a running
It's
joke between me and my
I
friends.
think it's tough going off of what you said because if everybody was doing that, then they all become invisible again, unless somebody's doing something different than that.
Yeah.
So you really have to strive to do something really good that's a little, that's eye catching. If
Yeah.
everybody's doing the same stuff, then like iconic poses and stuff, I've heard over and over and over when you do covers, we don't like for them to. It's been the mantra of a bunch of different companies or a section of time that when I was getting into comics, they were saying, don't do anything in the story, just do iconic poses and iconic, character shots and stuff.
Pinups.
And yeah, that I see how that may be great sometimes, but if you overdo that, some of the greatest covers that I've ever seen that I can go back to is stuff that had to do with the story. It didn't necessarily happen exactly the way it was in the story. Like, for instance, I'm thinking of Secret Wars number 12. And y'all always hear me go back to Secret Wars because it's the one that got me into Heroes. But Doctor Doom's on the cover and he's holding his hand up, and all of the heroes are dead in the background, and it's kind of an upshot looking down. And that cover is just so good to me, and that happens in the comic, but you don't ever see him in the comic. Ha ha ha! Killed everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, it gets that feeling, and it's that kind of thing. It's kind of a spoiler, but at the same time, how many covers have you seen like that and that didn't really happen? It's just that is like the doom that is proposed to happen if they don't do something. They'll show like a massive death scene. Everybody, you know. So I mean,
Yeah.
I love that cover. I love some of the greatest covers I've ever seen are not really necessarily iconic poses
Yeah.
and shots of characters, but they're good. I've seen a lot that are really good.
So got a couple
I-
comments here. This goes back to we're talking about Demon. Stephen Brown says, "Hey Stephen, how's it going?" He said, "I would put the Demon character as a silhouette to show that there's a new character, and that would be the info they get." Which is also a very tried and true way to do it. I think there are some characters that you can do silhouettes, and the informed readers would know. Like you can put Wolverine with his claws out, right? And if
Yeah.
you don't know who that is, then you're like, ooh, who is this silhouette? But if you're like, yeah, that's Wolverine, I recognize his claws, right? So Cassisi says, question when you have time. He goes, how much is too? This is a good question. How much is too much on the cover, character wise? If there is a duo and a villain, do you put all three on the cover? Do you put prominent guest characters on the cover as well?
I think that's where coloring comes in, right? I mean, if you have a good team,
Yeah.
like so you could have like again, Art Adams. I absolutely adore Art Adams. But if you notice some of his best covers, the background will be a flat, stark white.
Yep.
Like there's that, because it's so busy and so intricate. Or if you have somebody like Roberta that's an
Well-
expert colorist, they may make the background characters have a certain hue to push them back so it doesn't overpower. So I think it really
The
depends
Secret
on
Wars
the
cover
team.
that Quentin just mentioned is
Yeah.
exactly the same way. I had to look it up
Yeah.
because I didn't remember it. But yeah, that's exactly the same way. Doctor Doom is colored on front in your face, and then all the conked out characters are looks like a red color, and then the ground underneath them is kind of a violet color.
Exactly. I think in art
However-
the key thing that a lot of people forget, especially post 90s, is restraint. Restraint is such a
Yeah.
powerful tool, and not everybody understands it. Frank Miller, on his best days, completely understood restraint, and that's why he's one of my
Right.
favorites. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and there's also what are you trying to convey or on the cover, or what kind of mood are you trying to put out on the cover
Yeah.
as well? Do you kind of, are you? I think there's instances where it kind of goes to where you can have a bunch of characters on the cover and it works out just fine depending on what you're doing. and of course
Well,
the colors.
yeah,
And
George
then
Perez can
there's
get away with them, right? It looks great.
right. I mean, yeah. I mean, heck, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Do I
Mm.
need to say more?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, but at the same time, I think we've seen where that's been done really terrible as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like just way too much is done on the cover. There's so much going on, and you're just kind of like, so
Yeah. You don't know
Yeah.
where to look.
Well, it's
Right.
like I
What
love
is it?
AC, but I only need one guitar solo in my song. I don't need 10 guitar solos in my songs, you know?
Yeah. Unless we're live.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If we're live, then I'll take 10 of them, right? Thomas Flamani says, "Good evening, everyone. What's up, Tommy?"
Hey, Tommy.
So Cassisi goes on to say, he says, "That's very interesting. So the cover artist and the interior artist should be the same. What do you guys think?"
I strive for
least
that
it's-
myself.
I think at least the same kind of style, maybe. It doesn't have to necessarily, like I've seen books that, one artist does like half of the book, or they'll do 4 pages, then the other artist does 4 pages. Then I don't mind that so much as long as their style is kind of close. But like you wouldn't put a Humberto Ramos, with David Finch. It's just. And I have seen like that stuff before. That just kind of really throws me off, and especially when there's art that I don't necessarily like. It's good, it's great,
Mhm.
but I don't necessarily prefer it. On the inside, and then the outside is art that I like a Terry Dodson or a.
Well, all right. So that's a question for you then. I'll give my quick answer, then I'll to Cassisi, and then I'll come back to you guys. Cassisi, I do not think the cover artist, interior artist has to be the same. Obviously, if you look at our Kickstarters, we've got variant covers by different artists. So if I said I believe they had to be the same, then I would kind of be a bit of a hypocrite, wouldn't I? But here's what I'm going to ask, particularly Aaron and Quentin, because you both of you kind of voiced the same opinion. How much of So you said that it really just drives you crazy if there's a different style art on the cover than in the interior. How much do you think that's because you're an artist, um,
It's a
or
very real possibility.
because again, I think of things like novels, where you can see obviously a novel doesn't have any artwork on the inside, so you can't. How do you know what it's reflective of the story? And again, if the purpose of the cover is to make you pick it up, and you picked it up, but then you saw the artwork on the interior wasn't the same, well, you might put it back down, but it still got you to pick it up.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I guess it did its job.
well, that's what I'm saying. If you put it down because you don't like the interior art and the interior artist had done the cover, you probably wouldn't have picked the cover up.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
a missed opportunity. If you pick up the cover and it's not the same art, right?
Right.
And I have a friend who is not an artist who hates this too. It's a missed opportunity. Why waste that opportunity to make those different, to get the person to pick up the cover and then skip the opportunity for them to get a sale by switching the art inside? That's like basically advertising this shiny new car. You're trying to sell a shiny new sports car, and you get to the car and it's a Jeep. So it's false advertising in a way, and it's a missed opportunity. I mean, if you want to go that route, by all means, go for it. But to a lot of people, that's like, well, I'm not going to buy it for the cover, because then you start thinking, well, that's $5 for a cover, because I don't want to read the comic.
Or it's
And
perfectly
also,
immaculate on the outside, and then you
Mhm.
open up the car door and it's got like cracks in the seat,
Yeah,
cigarette
exactly.
burns, and it smells like somebody's been smoking cigars for 10 years in it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a missed
But
it's a missed opportunity.
But so
It's basically bad
I'm not
salesmanship.
understanding how it's a missed opportunity, because
It's a
if
missed
you
opportunity, because if you would have made the exterior artist and the interior artist the same, then what have put up the cover? I looked on the inside, like, oh, there's even more awesomeness in here. If they're picking up the cover
right,
because that's what they like, and you open it up and it's different, then you blew the sale.
Right.
If you pick it
So
up and it's the same, then they're like, this is the whole book of this amazing art. I'm sold.
right, but you can only get the amazing artist is only going to give you the cover. They're not going to do the interiors. That's just the way amazing artists
It's
go.
another side of it. That is another side of it.
Yeah.
Is companies are doing what they can with what they have.
Right.
So I do totally understand that, but sometimes, you know, it just sometimes it can feel to me, as what I said, that I'm being taken, you know, by a really sweet cover. And I may, you know, I have been known to buy books just for the cover, because this inside stuff wasn't great. But
Yeah.
I understand that part. I do.
Yeah.
I'm not like dying on the hill or anything. I just,
Yeah.
I prefer
Well-
whenever I pick one up, to
Yeah.
have at least a similar style.
And let me be clear, I prefer it too. But that's again that goes back to my preference. But what I always have to go back and ask, what's the purpose of the cover? And if the purpose of the cover is to get the reader to pick it up, then it really doesn't matter whose
Yeah.
work is on the inside. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you,
It's
you
like
totally got it done.
I can't actually.
I see that. I think that's a little simplistic view. I think, again, if you're just looking at a cover just to get somebody to pick it up, the cover should also want them to entice what's inside. I could pick up a book,
Yeah.
look at the cover, and not open it. I picked it up. I didn't open it. I didn't
Oh,
read
I've-
the story. Didn't
I've
care.
done
So
that
you
with
want the cover to also entice them to figure it out too.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And so if you can get a superstar artist
Yeah.
whose work doesn't reflect the interior to do a cover that entices a reader to pick it up, but then it doesn't look like the interior, isn't that what it's supposed to do?
If I can
theoretically.
interject,
I'm the one that doesn't necessarily agree with the superstar. I've seen lots of superstar, I guess what they consider superstar artists. It seems to me a lot of the superstar artists I see tend to stray towards the realism side, and it takes much more work to make a realistic. Like if you're going to make a comic completely realistic, all detail, that takes a lot more work. And that's why these superstar artists don't do a lot of the interiors and do covers, because it would just take too long. Hence
Yeah.
Jeff Darrow and other ones, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
It's hard to do
again,
interiors.
it's like if you want to, it to me it should be like, I really just like on my comic Godlings, I did not ask anyone to do an alternative cover, and I won't, because what you see is what you get. And if people like the art, then they want to pick it up. And also, and this is just me personally as an artist, I know how my characters are drawn, and when people draw my characters and they don't draw them right, it bothers me. So I draw them. So yeah, on my Godlings, there won't be alternative covers. All the covers will be done by me.
See,
And that's just a personal preference.
Sure, no, and I think that's fine. But let me play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Where you said something about missed opportunity, don't you feel that that's a missed opportunity for you? Don't you feel that if you could put a cover on Godlings that might be done by someone with a slightly different art style than you, that might reach a different audience that say, hey, oh cool, what's this Godling? And obviously you're going to work with them, so they're going to still give you a quality cover, right? And then it calls some different potential reader to pick it up. Go, oh cool, look at this thing, this is Godlings. Oh, this looks pretty cool on the inside. I don't know what this Godling stuff is. Wouldn't you say that that's missed opportunity? No.
No, I wouldn't.
lost
And
the
the only
purpose.
reason is because if they're picking it up for an alternative cover, then I would just assume they're not really interested on the art on the inside.
Yeah. So did you watch
My
Bad
art,
News
in
Bears?
other words,
Did you watch Bad News Bears?
a long time ago. Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember what Boilermaker told to all of his kids about assume? Never
No.
assume.
Oh no, it's been a long time.
I'm not gonna say it on the air here.
I know the saying.
If it's one, yeah. I mean, but that's just
thought you might
personal
remember.
preference. But you also have to
No, yeah.
remember, I don't I'm really into the book, so I don't go. I mean, I think this is people who are into like cover collecting and stuff. I want to read your comic, and I want you to do the best you can in the comic. I personally don't really care about the covers per se. If the covers entice me to want to know what's going on in your comic, then
but-
I will jump in.
But you're talking about you.
Right. This like I said, this is all
so-
personal opinion. This is how I do my book. I'm not saying
Yeah,
other
no,
people
no. So, but what I'm saying is that you're talking about you and how and what your buying habits are. Don't you feel there's a possible wasted and I'm not trying to pick on you, Aaron. I'm just this is just
No.
yeah.
And I can back
Uh,
this up with a few examples. Jeff Smith's Bone. You
Uh-huh.
didn't see alternative
Mhm.
covers from him. Nobody else did a Bone cover except Jeff Smith. Same thing with Terry Moore and Strangers in Paradise, all of his stuff. He does all his own covers. You do not see any other person, and those are very famous independent artists. You don't see them. I've never seen any Jeff Smith or Terry Moore ask a Neil Adams to do a cover. Never. And they are considered probably the most successful indie comic creators, more than like Lady Death and stuff to a degree. Yes, but they're very, very successful, and so that doesn't correlate to me. Missed opportunity because I mean, come on, Bone's synonymous with kids comics.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
he
no,
never asked him. He never played that game, and I mean, neither did Frank Miller with Sin City. You know, so it's one of those things you look a lot of. And they didn't do that.
I think Frank did. I think I remember.
And I'm just
saying-
saying that there's two avenues to go down, but I've seen some of my favorite creators never had a lot of alternative covers, and they stuck with them. So, and that could just be maybe because they're superstar artists. I mean, John Byrne wouldn't need to get somebody else to do a Next Men comic cover because he's John Byrne.
right.
So there's also that too.
But in the same regard, others have done covers, or I'm sorry, in the same regard, John Byrne has done covers for other books that he didn't draw.
Oh yeah, I mean,
right?
if you pay me to do a cover for you, yeah, sure. I'm just saying that's what I do. I mean, that's on you. I think the reason I push back against this, and maybe the reason I push back against it a little bit, is just maybe going to the Kickstarters where every Kickstarter is like 1,000,000,001 covers. Not us who do like an alternate cover, but the ones, and you know the ones that you go down and it's like all covers.
Oh
And it's
yeah,
like-
yeah. There's like 40 different covers. No, I
Right.
totally
And
know
so
what
I'm
you're talking
like,
about.
is the interior of the book even worth it, or they're just trying to sell me on covers? And I'm like, if you're just trying to sell me on covers, then why didn't you just make the book of covers and forget the story?
All right, I'm
Like
going to
peanut
chime
butter.
in, you guys. I have
Okay,
some.
please do.
As an artist, the first thing I look at is the cover art. So that's start. So if the cover art's kind of mediocre
Yep.
and it matched the interior book and the book was a great story, but the art didn't sell it for it, then that is a missed opportunity on the other end. So I thought, the cover will do it if it gets your attention. So
Yeah.
secondarily, you go to the cover of an artist that you actually like as an endorsement, I figure. I see it that way.
Yeah.
That it's not so much that, oh, I expect it to be their style. It's more like, oh, this person really liked it and I like this guy's work. So, maybe there's something to him being
Yeah.
part of that team.
I agree. I'll buy a second issue. I'll buy a comic that has artwork that I don't necessarily love if it has a good story. But if I don't like the artwork and it's on the cover, I'm never going to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think it's kind of like
Also,
if I'm
it's like,
already-
I don't have a problem
If
with.
I'm already, go ahead, Curtis.
Oh,
Go ahead, Curtis.
No,
No, go.
thanks, Quinn. No, I kind of feel like it's kind of a matter of I'm okay even if it's a little bit different style as long as the book inside has good artwork. What I don't like is when it has an Adam Hughes or Travis Turst cover, and then you open it and it's like a fifth grader drew it. That's when I feel cheated.
has
The art
artwork
still
by
has to
me.
be-
Want to say it.
No,
Right.
But as
No,
long as
I
it's good
agree with you.
quality,
I-
I'm okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am 100% with that. It's like, oh, there's a fantastic cover, but then you open it up and it's like, oh, it looks like I drew this.
And it's like, who brought the new guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beer goggles.
Let me catch up on let me catch up. We're generating some chatter here.
Some heat.
Uh,
And
yeah, this has
Quentin,
been-
I
this has
sorry,
been
thanks for
fun.
that.
So Stephen Brown says, I like it when they give a clue of what's in the story, but not too much of where you wouldn't want to buy it. I think we might agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, not too spoilery.
Yeah. And he says, or have 2-3 covers reveal a poster like what Jim Lee did in Marvel's X-Men. Yeah, where you kind of lay them together and they create something. Yeah. I guess my question is how many I know that those exist, but has anyone ever seen a poster, quote unquote poster, that people have like put them all together to do that?
I used to
Yeah.
do that with
think-
Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
And they even put out one later where all the covers were on a fold-out cover.
Mm.
Like
Every
they were
one of
all on
them?
One cover. Yeah.
All 5
they
of
were
them?
all- yeah, and it was all
Wow.
done up on a fold-out. Yeah,
Well, that's kind of cool.
on a reprint. Yeah.
Cassisi says, to a certain extent, isn't it expected that the interior art may not be as detailed or intricate as the cover?
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen Gary
Yeah.
Frank
Depending
go
on the
all out on
artist.
covers, and then on the inside, it's not quite as detailed. But I always kind of expect that, but I kind of know the process a little more. So, like, you would spend more time on the cover because it does mean so much. And on the sequential art, you have to be there's a time factor. There's a time
Right.
factor on all of it, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You have to
You
be a little
can't-
bit quicker.
Yeah, you can't spend all that time on the interior. So yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
where you turn around, there's Greg Capullo, and Greg Capullo's doing the cover, and he's doing the interiors, and he's got detail coming out in the freaking.
I
Right.
will also say that this what we're talking about is the initial picking up of a book.
Right. Yeah.
But
Of
now
an
me,
unknown.
if I'm already in a book and they change artists, because usually because I'm an artist, I buy books by artists. Like if
Yeah.
it's Terry Dodson, I will buy it. If it's David Finch, I will buy it. And I don't even care what the story is. I will get involved in the story, and then I'll follow that story out a little bit longer than what they're on the book. But for me, that's my personal preference. That's what I
Mm.
do. But if I'm already in a book, it really doesn't matter about the cover versus the inside. I just want to complete the storyline. I want to see
Right.
what's. But on the initial, yes, the cover has to look good. It has to look awesome for me to really make the plunge for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Long story short, a good cover, bad art inside will sell me one book.
Mm.
Good cover on the outside and good art on the inside will keep me on a book.
Mm.
I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Aaron Wubba says, I would have done a cover for you, Aaron.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I mean, I'm sure with the obsoletes we'll have different covers and stuff. It's just
Yeah.
my book,
Your own thing, yeah.
Your baby.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and that I guess that's one of the things that makes a little more sense because this is kind of a passion project of yours,
Right.
you know.
So
So
yeah.
you want it to be you and you and you.
Here I was
One-
thinking Aaron was telling me how he really felt.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't
I
like
was-
your covers on that
I
Friar
was
Rush,
totally
man.
I was totally that way when I was doing Relic Quest. The only help that I had with that was with the play testing and the feedback and stuff like that. And I had several different groups play tested and tried out, and I took their feedback in and made changes. But I talked to Brian Pulido years ago in Albuquerque at Comic-Con there, and he told me, and I didn't want to hear it at the time, and I didn't want to hear it all through the time that I was doing the Relic Quest. He said, "Get help, get help."
Wow.
And don't do it all. Don't try
Mm.
to do it all yourself. And I didn't want to hear it because when you do it yourself, you have total control, and you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about things kind of getting off in left field. But at the same time, you will wear yourself
Oh
out.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that game, it literally wore me out. I had to take I had to take some time after I got the initial thing done, and it's tough. It gets tough. When
Yeah.
you're trying to stay on top of everything, and another thing is when you have multiple people, there's multiple eyes
Oh
looking
yeah.
at it, and they
Yeah.
can pick out stuff. Hey, there's a typo here. There's a
Yeah.
typo there. There's a typo over here, and stuff like that. It really helps to have other people involved, if nothing else, but to look out for stuff that you can't possibly see until later.
You could like being so into it, you accidentally draw too many or too little fingers or
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
things like
two
that.
right hands, right? Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
and this is
Two
one of
left
the
feet.
yeah. And I will say this is one of the things I think that's a strength of Silverline is that it's a team. To quote my friend Curtis Fujita, a
Mhm.
rising tide lifts all boats, right?
I love that quote.
Yeah.
I do too.
That is
I do
so
too.
good.
It is.
Thank you.
And it really is. It really is. For me, I think, at least for me, and I think it is for all of you as well. That is Silverline. That is what it is. It's a rising tide lifts all of us, right?
Sounds like a future division of Silverline, the Rising Tide.
The rising
Yeah.
tide
Yeah.
boats.
Mhm.
In turn, you
Silverline
can
and Rising
I-
Tide present to you Champion and Miss Fury 2.
Let's see. Stephen Brown says when someone picks up a comic, they would sometimes think the style of the cover would be the same as the interior, like manga is now, but they don't think of the time put to them where they need another artist to make the time.
Well, isn't there like multiple artists that work on a manga anyway?
Yeah,
They're just
they usually have
ghost
studios.
artists?
Yeah,
Production line.
it's
Yeah.
usually the
Yeah.
yeah. Tommy says the cover is the first chance to sell the book. It's got a pop. Not going to buy it if you never pick it up. And that was kind of what I was trying to suggest to Aaron there. Is it should it be the same art on the inside? I'm mixed. This is still Tommy talking. I like the idea of special edition covers. And then he said, so I didn't answer anything. And Cassisi said, LOL. Tommy said, bingo, Curtis. Cassisi laughed again. Steven
bingo
said
bot.
there's I'm not real sure. This goes back up to probably what you were talking about, having the cover and get someone pick it up. This goes
I'll take
this,
it.
This guy there's no oh wait a minute, there is a timestamp on here. This is 21:55. What time is it now? This is like 10 minutes ago. So
Okay.
so Stephen Brown said there's one comic I know called White Widow, and they have many variants, but so far they haven't continued the story. They just keep releasing the same comic but different covers. And I have seen what Stephen Brown is talking about, and actually, Benny, who is I think that's his company.
Yeah.
Benny has chimed in here before on our stream. I can't remember if it was Sunday nights or Wednesday nights,
It
but
was a
he is
Sunday. It was a
yeah.
Sunday.
yeah. But I saw him at where'd Jeff and I go? Suncoast Comic Con, and he had his White Widow booth set up there, and there must have been 50, 100 different covers. I don't know, but it was all of the same one, and he had them slabbed, he had them metal, he had all kind of stuff.
Is that what Marat does also? It's the same story but different covers?
The Pooh stuff,
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't answer that for sure. I don't really know.
Well, I can see the definite value in doing multiple covers, but as for me, I'm gonna buy one or maybe two.
Yeah.
But that's me. That's how
Yeah.
I can't say anything because when Wolverine #1 came out, when they made Laura the new Wolverine, and they had all those different hip hop covers for her and everything, I had to pick up quite a few of them.
Yeah.
I really liked them.
Well, I for me, if generally, if like a Kickstarter, if it has multiple covers, I will often pick the one I want, or if the reward tier is such that you get more than one, I will pick the one I want and then gift the other one. It's like, oh, I've got 2 copies of this book, both have the same cover on it. I like this cover. I'm going to gift this one to X, someone I think might like the book. Yeah, I am personally, I'm not a big multi-cover person, but you guys know, I mean, just look at our Kickstarters. We got people who like having multiple covers, and
I definitely don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good
no,
marketing thing, and I
yep,
think it's, there's a lot of good stuff about it, and I don't think we overdo it. And I think a lot of
no,
people overdo it because it's kind of the thing right now in collecting is
yeah,
having multiple variant covers, variant figures, variant, exclusives. Just
right.
you can only get this particular one at this particular place.
Mm.
There's a lot of wisdom to it,
Yeah.
a lot of,
Well,
I think
it
it's good.
plays, yeah, it plays the whole collector's market, and we've got a couple of stores that that have store exclusives. Coliseum of Comics has often backed our Kickstarters at the level that they'll put their logo on it, so there'll be 20 books with their logo on it. 2 years ago, Daytona Beach Comic Con had a run of special cover books. So there's some of that around for us, but yeah, I tend to agree with you. We don't do those that have like 50 covers. Wubba said there's a lot of books I never would have picked up if it wasn't for Jay Lee or Del Keown cover art.
Sometimes
Yeah,
Right.
I
Yeah,
see
see,
I
that's
see
good.
variant covers sometimes as nowadays as customizing. It's like instead of getting all the variant covers, I like this cover with this comic book, and so I kind of see it as that now, which is kind of fun, you know.
Well, see, that's what I was saying. That's me. I would
yeah,
I would pick the one that was of the artists or art that I liked. That's one thing I see good about it. But
yeah,
I'm not the collector that if something comes out, I have to have every single version of it. You know,
yeah.
I'm not that way. But I have friends that are
Yes.
that way, and they will totally get every single one. Collect them
Variant
all.
covers.
Yeah,
Variant covers have also been a way to lately. There's been where some unknowns have been able to kind of work their way up to higher priority books
yeah.
because of store store exclusives.
Yeah, yeah. Tommy said all the Walking Dead trades make a huge cover laid side by side. I didn't realize that. I've seen the Walking Dead trades, but I didn't realize that they made a cover side by side. Stephen Brown said it kind of annoyed me because there's too many covers and not enough of the story. He's going back to talking about the White Widow thing.
All right, I gotta go, guys.
All right, Roberta,
Hey,
thank you
Roberta.
so much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Stay
Roberta.
cool.
We'll see you next week.
Fun talk. Thanks so. Yes.
Ah,
Bye.
Thank you. Who's sharing next?
Quentin, you wanna
I will if you
take
don't
the
want
lead?
to, Kurt. Sure.
All right,
I'll
Go
do
for
it.
it. I'll be right back, guys. Just a
Uh,
moment.
All right, Brett. When Quentin gets shared, pop him up there. Let me get back to Fruitbat36 says if the cover is not obvious that it is a special cover, then it is disappointing when the cover doesn't match the interior art. However, if the interior artists aren't good at capturing the story moment, then that could also be a disappointment, as the covers that don't reflect anything inside the book. So, yeah, and
Roland looks like scrambled to everybody else, or just me?
What is?
Roland's video look like scrambled vision to anybody else?
He's moving
me,
back and
no.
forth.
No.
Roland,
not
are
to
you
me, at
okay?
least.
yeah, I'm fine.
Remind
Is
me of
it-
that movie from years ago. This room is green. You're going.
Yes, I like them. I'm gonna wash them and wax them, and I'll count them.
And I'll name his name George.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
I can't
Yeah.
see because
Yeah.
I guess it's just me then.
Okay, is the
Uh,
stream going?
yeah,
Because
we're
I don't
streaming.
see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. We're live.
Well, I mean, is
Yeah,
my
yeah. I
screen?
see.
Yeah.
Yep, I got a
Okay.
king and a queen there.
All right. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, and I was bouncing around just to agitate John.
I can't see you anyway on my screen on my computer because it's literally like scrambled vision.
Oh, I'm not sure what that is. Unless
It's got to be coming on my end because when
Um,
I got the stream running on my phone and you look it fine,
okay.
so it's
You
got to
know
be
what?
on my end.
Yeah.
It's a nice thing to
Um,
say.
Thank you, John. You look fine as well.
I'm into video rolling.
All right, so we'll end up with Fruitbat 36's comments
Hey,
there.
he's back.
And yeah, I tend to agree that yeah, sometimes if the interior artist is not the same as the cover, it can be disappointing. I agree with that. Especially if I think if it's something super, and this may be kind of going back to kind of what Aaron was talking about. If it's something completely brand new to you and you're like, wow, this looks really good. And then you pick it up and you flip through it and you're like, oh, well, no, it doesn't. You know, it's like the cover looks really good, but the interior doesn't, you know? And I think that
It
that can
reminds
be
me of
disappointing.
if folks remember if you remember back in the 80s when there was the big VHS boom, you would have some VHSs like really sci-fi or fantasy movies where they had this painted cover and it looked amazing, and then
Oh,
you'd rent
yeah.
the video and it would just be like on some in some parking lot that it was filmed or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It had all those Dave Dorman covers.
I've
Right?
got burned so many times with movies
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
I know. Who knew Ator the Fighting Eagle was not a masterpiece, you know?
Right.
Then there's
The
been
Spider
movies
King.
where- Then there's movies where the cover looks like awesome as all get out, and the movie looks awesome, but then the story is junk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was actually a Jet Li movie I remember written from the Red Box, something about White Witch or something like that in the title. I wouldn't have used that movie for a coaster. It was that horrible.
Fruitbait 36 Fruitbat, sorry, I'm reading this. Fruitbat 36 says, yeah, bait and switch. I think for the covers and different
Yeah.
interior. So you know, I've got I do have a second topic here written down here. But Stephen Brown asked this question. I think last time we were on at like just before we were getting out, and so I thought I'd post it up here. And Stephen, if you got something specific you're asking, fire away. We'll toss it out, but it's kind of a very broad question. Before I get back to that, I'm gonna read some of these others because Cece says, yeah, the good old days of VHS. Those movies are a special treat. Full Metal Ninja, Death Machines, The Witch with the White Hair. Is that the Jet Li one? Yeah,
Possibly.
So Stephen Brown
That
says,
sounds like it.
I'm halfway done with my comic, still trying to figure out how to get it out there. And then he says, what's your opinion of comicsology? Or for Aaron, what's your opinion of cosmicology?
Cosmicology, that's right.
So what about it? What you guys have thoughts, opinions? Comicsology?
It is.
I buy from there every
barely-
once in a while.
Because I've
Yeah.
heard some decent things, and then I've heard some,
Yes, that's me.
and then
I
I've
don't-
heard where people are like, I haven't made anything.
What I think, like most online sites, the thing about the internet is I think it's really hard to browse. I think one of the ways of getting discovered is by browsing. You go into a store, you browse around, find something different. And I'm not picking on comicsology a lot. It's just the internet, the style of the
Right.
internet. I mean, you go on the even on Amazon, it's hard to just browse and find things. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of times when I put my stuff on there, it's just buried under the thousands of other things. So unless somebody knows to exactly look for Goblins or look for Fire Rush, for instance, or something, the chances of them stumbling upon that are much less than say in a store where it could be walked by the shelf and like, oh, what the, what's this? And just, I
Yeah.
think that's the benefit of stores, and I think this going online is great for corporations who have tons of money to spend on advertising. But if you have tons of money to spend on advertising, you do kind of rely a little bit on the browsing function of somebody
Yeah.
stumbling upon it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's my
You could do it, but you'd have to really market at the same time, just like you would any other place,
yeah.
any other thing. That's what I say.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that's the difference. Like when you go into a bookstore or a comic book store, you can literally just kind of this comes back to our covers, right? You can really
Yeah.
you can literally just kind of browse through them, looking at them, picking them up, and flipping through
Right.
them. And it's not as easy to do. I know that I know on Amazon, you can click one, and they don't all have the see what's inside. Some of them do.
Yeah.
Some of them don't have the see what's inside.
I'm not
Which I
saying this. I'm not saying this because Indie Planet is one of our sponsors, but I really like the way theirs is set up because you get to scroll down the different books that they have and the new ones that have come out, and you can click on them, and you can look and see like a couple of pages from the interior.
I usually get to see the 3 pages.
Yeah.
So Fruitbat36 says, "Do the Delilah Dirk method, but give only a few pages, then send to buy." I'm not sure what that is, Fruitbat36. Do you guys know what the Delilah Dirk method is?
never heard of that.
Yeah,
But I don't know what a
know.
lot of
Not
stuff
familiar.
is.
If you have the chance of Fruitbat, would you explain the Delilah Dirk method, please, a little bit? And he says Indie Planet. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I know Indie Planet. Like for when we do our stuff, we
What's
get
the
to
closest to going into a comic shop?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, it says he gives the full book online. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I hear, I've heard a couple of people kind of swear by it. It's like, oh, I still, I give it away online, but I still sell copies. And I'm like, but why? Why do people buy it? I mean, I understand that you're going to have the hardcore collectors that are going to buy it so that they can get your signature on it. But what happens to all those possible just casual readers that are buying it to try? If you're giving it away for free, then they're not going to buy it. So I don't know. But also I think there's some. So one of the things that I like about Comixology and Indie Planet is that they're able to. You can give that first book away for free. And I've thought about once we finished a series, maybe do that. Maybe give the first book away for free, and then think, okay, well, hopefully, I mean, I have confidence enough in these projects that they'll see the first book, they'll read the first book, they'll like it enough that they'll go and buy 2, 3, and 4. Hopefully, they'll buy 1, 2, but
Hey, it works
You know,
for
I've had-
street pushers all the
I have very
time.
strong opinions
First
about
one's
that.
free.
right, exactly, yeah.
Their whole
know.
business is predicated on the first one being free.
I know doesn't Image Comics, they don't give it away for free, but I know the first graphic novel is $10, and then a lot of the graphic novels after number 1 are 15 or 14. So a lot of times Image will give away the first graphic novel, but I think for a less price, entry
Yeah.
point price, and then they'll do
Yeah.
that. Now whether or not that works now, I don't know. I don't know if it's one of those things like that. I can see a little bit of that backfiring if people aren't like, oh, I got this for $10. Now I'm going to go buy the second one. It's like it's $20. What and they may feel kind of gypped. So I don't know if that ever backfires on them, but I know they do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Fruit Bat says it's a weird catch-22, but in a way it becomes an advertisement. And yeah, and I think that's I tend to agree with that, and I think that's why I'm leaning towards the idea is like, okay, you know what? Once we finish Cat and Mouse, once the entire and this is with all of them, right? But for Cat and Mouse, when we finish Cat and Mouse, we got 4 issues done. What kind of advertisement? What can I do to hype up it? Well, let's give the first book away digitally, right, for free, because we can't afford to give away print books, but give it away digitally for free, and then hopefully someone will find it. Oh, I like this book. Let me go seek out. Let me go buy the rest of them, right? And if you're on Indie Planet already, hey, look, it's free digitally on Indie Planet. Now I can just click 2, 3, 4 and order those, right?
Yeah. I thought you were going to
I
give
could
away
see giving away
review on a bearskin
a
rug.
portion of
Or-
it, but not the whole thing. I would be okay with giving a part of something, but and this is a separate industry, but I found at my martial arts school, I would give away the first class free. You can try the class for free, you know? And sometimes it sets a precedent for people. They get used to having something for free, you know? And so I kind of am of the mindset customers who don't pay are not customers that I want, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It depends. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, it's
like
it's
Apple.
funny.
Apple made a business out of selling full price products. They never
Yes,
have discounts, and people
Right,
The
yeah,
argument
back
I've
to the
heard a
repaid
lot
absorbent
with
price.
web comics and stuff. One, I heard the argument, you should give it away to free to build an audience, considering that if you give it away for free and then start selling, and there are people who do this, web comics that are free, and they sell merchandise or whatever. But somebody had said, well, almost with the advent of the internet, that maybe I think pirating is part of this, but web comics
Yeah.
are so free that so many young people just think comics should be free.
Yeah.
That when it comes to paying, they're just like, well, why would I even bother paying for yours when I can I'll just quit reading yours and go find other free stuff.
Right.
So it's almost by people doing web comics are kind of defeating the idea of wanting to sell comics.
Well, that's where it kind of goes. Do you want to build respect for the media?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of falls into doing commissions for free or doing a lot of stuff for free. It may get you something, but at the same time, it hurts the community of artists who are actually doing it for a living.
Right.
And so you got to be
Or
careful
even
with
doing
that.
it too cheap, because
Or
Yeah.
trying to make some money from it.
Right. I'll even sit here and go from personal experience myself. All right. I did commissions and cheaper than I should have in the beginning. A lot cheaper. Because I needed the money. Here I am doing commissions more around the price that I should have been doing in the first place. And Roland's the one keeping me busy. It's either Roland or the day job. Because I was doing that $50 11x17, and now I'm like, I know I'm not doing it anymore. I put too much time and effort into that $50 11x17 full figure.
Yeah.
And was trying my best to knock it out of the park. That it was just like, well, you're not. People are just sit there. Well, you're not going to do it that cheap anymore. I'm not going to go for it.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
just
if
one of
it's,
those things where
you
I'm
know, if
now
it's, oh, go ahead, sir.
it's just now one of those things where I just have to sit on it long enough and throw some stuff out there that it starts generating back again.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's just a process. So Fruitbat says my suggestion is to do a modified version. Don't offer the whole book, which then is kind of what Tommy then says. He says, I'm really trying to talk myself into giving the digital versions of all but the last few pages of my books away for free. Then if you want to see the end of the story, you support me by buying the book. So so that's a good idea if Fruitbat goes, yeah, and then make it really easy to buy the book.
Yeah, click here to purchase.
Yeah,
Right, yeah. Hey, you want to read the rest of the story? Click here.
totally.
Yeah, so the question though becomes how much so and I guess that's kind of where my mind is with giving away the first issue. you give away the entire first issue, and then it's the same idea. It's like, okay, well, you want to read the rest of the story, you got to buy issues 2, 3, and 4. But this is like not the entire issue. You do that for, our book's 22 pages. How many pages do you give away? 10? That's almost half the book.
I think it's based on the story, so you got to kind of find the cliffhanger in it, not the last page, but wherever there's a cliffhanger or there's something that they have enough of a satisfying story, but there's some cut off. Yeah, like don't do it in the conversation in the diner and cut it off there, right? Because
yeah.
But
But that goes back to
you know
the
what's
problem.
interesting? You're talking about not giving stuff away. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, that's okay. We got lag with you again.
No, no. I was. Oh, sorry. I'll say this and I'll log back off. I thought it was interesting because back in the day when I was a teen and I was working at Malibu and we went to Comic-Con, I would have a sketchbook and I'd get tons of artists to draw, and partially because I was with Malibu and there are people I knew, they would do that. But the two people who went and do sketches for me was Gil Kane and Neil Adams. And I was this young, fresh-faced kid, and I went up to them and I asked them, I said, hey, could you do a sketch for me? I mean, I had stuff from Jerry Bingham, from all these people, and they flat out said no. And knowing their background, what they went through, and the standard that they held themselves to, it was a real eye-opener. But those two guys knew you don't give away anything for free, especially Neil Adams, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot to that. It's like, what, if you're giving it away, then you are giving it away for free. But then you even talk about the cliffhanger, and Fruitbat 36 says the same thing. You got to leave us on a cliffhanger. My problem is I don't write for a cliffhanger on page 10. You're right. I write for a cliffhanger at the end of the book.
Yeah, you definitely have to engineer it to where you were cliffhanger and a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, so
With that, you'd have to engineer it with that kind of business model in mind.
Yeah. I will read Tommy's next message until Curtis comes back here. All right, Curtis, can you hear again? There he is.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. So, I didn't want to read the next message until you got back. So, Tommy says again, bingo, Curtis says, get to the good part of the issue, then run a click here to buy the book. Not saying this is a good idea. It might backfire on you. Could make the readers mad. And then Fruitbat says, well, something that says turn the page. Yeah. And I think that, I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think these are certainly things that, particularly as because we don't really have digital content, because I think for a lot of it is because of me. It's the Comixology is what started this whole discussion. And my experience was I put a book up on Comixology, and then about 2 weeks later, I found it on a pirate site. Now, I'm not accusing Comixology because I don't think Comixology did it. But what I'm thinking is that because it was on Comixology, it became available to the pirates, and then and then they just do this, Rob Davis says, "Hey everyone,
Hello,
Rob.
what's up,
Mr.
Rob?"
Rob.
Stephen Brown says, "Give her a 3 or 6 page preview," and I think that's probably kind of in line. Is it, and this is, we talk about Indie Planet. This is what Indie Planet does. Indie Planet gives you 3 pages to preview, but maybe we should, we should look at doing, hey, you get to see 10 pages or something. I don't know. That's almost half of our first book. Tommy says, just ideas. Maybe I should be on the Sunday show next week.
Yeah, come on in, Tommy.
Yep.
Definitely.
Tommy, we'll just count on you for next week.
Yeah. Have you folks seen how Marvel sometimes does the free comic book stuff on Comixology? It'll be like 3 or 4 or 5 pages, and then a couple character designs, and then like a synopsis of the world or something like that. Like just kind of more of an overview. I don't know how effective that is, though, to be honest.
Well, one of the things, and I see Comixology pretty regular, partly because in my class, I assign students reading to do. I don't choose the books for them, but I tell them they have to pick free books from Comixology or from Indie Planet, and they do about half and half, and it's not unusual that I see Marvel putting, hey, this is a Daredevil #1 from 1966 for free, but but the #2 is 99 cents. The next issue is 99 cents. So they give you that first issue for free, and then they want you to buy the rest of it. And I'm not convinced that's not a good idea.
I think it also probably depends on how many books you have. Like Marvel has thousands and thousands.
Yes,
And
right.
for us, the challenge is that percentage of one versus several thousand versus us.
That's a lot for us.
That's a big percentage. So that's a good
Yeah.
question. I don't know.
Yeah. Rob Davis says, well, in that preview, there may just be a way to embed a link to in your file to the sales site that will remain in the pirated copy. Then it doesn't matter that it has been pirated. It just expanded where it's available. I'm not sure what you mean, Rob. It's kind of sounds nifty. Can you explain a little bit more? Rob, you should. Why don't you ever join us, Rob? You should join us some. Stephen Brown says, my comic is about 23 or 25 pages, and I would leave a cliffhanger so they would want to get the next book to see what happened. Okay, so here's where the publisher and me is going to scream 23 or 25. Okay, so those are weird numbers. You're usually looking at even numbers. This is so that you can end your comic on a
25's not odd.
25 is an odd number.
That number.
24 and
I'm
26.
I'm talking about as in it's not an odd number to stop at.
It is an odd number to stop at. It's an odd number, but it's also an odd number.
I don't know. Maybe it's my OCD. It's like, why would I stop at 24?
Because 24 is right there, and 24 is a pagination. So if you do 25 pages, you've got to add in traditional printing. You've got to add in an additional 8 pages, or print on demand. You've got to add in an additional 4 page. It costs you more. Yep. I'll explain it. I'll explain that whole thing to you later. But yes, it's a thing. Fruitbat 36 says, no, I'm not shilling it because I have a vested interest. I just think, I just think it's pertinent to this discussion. Okay, so Fruitbat 36, I don't know who you are, so I don't know what your vested interest is, but yeah, no, I agree that is absolutely pertinent to the discussion. 4 pages at a time is how a book is made. 4 pages at a time is how a book is made. A digital printing. 8 pages at a time is how a book is made in traditional print. So you would have, if you look back at traditional printed comics, they were either 24 or 32 pages. That was just it. Martin in Ontario. Okay. I think I know who that is. But I'm glad you joined us, Martin. Thank you. Okay, so Rob says, I haven't looked at the things I would need to check. Okay. Steven. Cool. Yeah. Rob Davis says, create the file as a PDF and embed a link to the sales site for the book. Oh, yeah. I believe you can make links live in a PDF. Again, if they pirate the book, that link is included. Yes, you can do that because in our first, yes, Color Guy, I knew. Yep. I kind of figured it out. So you can embed links in a PDF. I figured this out, probably at about the 3rd Kickstarter that we did. And what I ended up doing is going back into our Kickstarter PDFs and embedded links to Indie Planet and to creators' websites and things like that. So not super fancy, but if you have the Kickstarter PDFs and look at those, you will see, you can click on whoever the creator is and go to their webpage or go to Indie Planet, that kind of thing. Alex Sarabia, what's up, sir? He says, "Hey guys, great inking."
Alex.
Oh,
Hello?
yeah, I'm just kind of penciling right now.
Yeah.
Just the way I
So
pencil.
So, for those of you who might not recognize Alex Sarabia's name, Alex Sarabia is the penciler for Divinity. So great
Yeah.
to, yep. Who also
Good
has a standing invitation to join us, but he is Alex is a little camera shy, he says. So we'll get him on here one day. I think he's in a later time. I think he may be closer to Curtis's time zone, so we may get him to join the
I
new
don't
crew.
blame him.
Yeah, come on down, Alex.
Yeah, Fruitbat 36 says, "Yep, do that with the PDFs." Yeah. Yeah, that, I mean, I think that's a great idea. And like I said, I only discovered this fairly recently. That gum is 10:35. Rob says, "That's for getting me on the show. I never think about it until I take a break from the drawing board, and then I realize it's Sunday. If you want to send me a reminder and invite, I'd be happy to join in." Cool. I will do that. I will take care of. Matter of fact, I'll write me a little note here. So I
You're
will
gonna do it on your little itsy bitsy teeny weeny post-it.
No. I'm not gonna do it on that one. I'm doing it on my slightly bigger notepad.
Those post-it notes look like something you'd use if you cut yourself shaving.
You use Post-it notes when you cut yourself?
No, but like taking
Oh,
small pieces of
size,
paper and
okay.
putting it on there.
Let's see. We need to get Ron. I've talked to Ron as well. Get Ron on here. But Ron and Rob Hall
I thought I saw
they
Alex,
have their own.
I thought I saw Alex. What's his name? He was on the show once with us. Can't pronounce his
Sarabia?
last- No, the other Alex.
Oh, Gallimore.
No, the guy. I can't pronounce his last name. It begins with an S.
So Alex Sarabia, the guy who does penciler for Divinity, and then there's Alex Gallimore, who was
Alex Saviuk.
Savia.
Alex Saviuk.
Saviuk.
Yeah.
He was watching. I saw where he was watching a little bit ago.
Oh, cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, Alex is of course a longtime Web of Spider-Man artist. And he is
That's what I was thinking.
yeah, he was he hung out with us once, and he's fairly local to me, so I get to see him at some of the local shows. So
Sorry, Alex, I'm tired.
Fruitbat 36 says, "Show us more process stuff on the Silverline blog." Yeah, so I think that's something that Tim and I have talked a little bit. Tim's kind of the one who's got the reins for the blog, except for obviously some of the news and updates and stuff like that. And one of Tim's we had a discussion recently. One of Tim's comments is, I ask for all these process blogs, and he goes, "People tell me they're going to do them," and he didn't mention names, so I don't know who it is. "People tell me they're going to do them," and he goes, "and then I wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait." And I said, "Dude, they're freelancers, they're creators. You got to send them reminders. Say, hey, where's that blog you said you were going to write?" I'd like
He
to
did
see
this
us.
to me. Why won't he do it to anybody? Like, I forgot, and I was like, "Hold on."
Forgot. I'm just trying to get to it. I really am. I would really love
Are
to
you
do
one
it.
of them?
I am one of them. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I am one of them. I need to do that. I know I do, and it's on my to-do list.
Yeah.
As soon as I get freed up a little bit, along with the TikTok, I got to get busy on the TikTok. Yeah.
So Fruitbat says, "Just give us a page. They don't have to write anything." And show us the cliffhanger. So you're talking about maybe updates on the projects. You say, hey, here's a page from this project. Here's the pencils, or here's the layouts, or here's the okay, or a single panel. Cool. You know what? I hadn't thought about that, but that's a great idea. Because we have several projects going on, and that would be an easy thing to do.
There you go.
Just-
Just an update.
Woo! Hold it a little closer, John.
Nice. Ooh, looking
Nice.
good, John.
I like
Looking
it.
very good. I like it.
Yeah. Sweet.
I love when
Um,
when it reads from that far away. Even you can see the pattern and everything.
Yeah.
That's great, John.
Yep. Yeah. It's funny. I love that you said the pattern, Curtis, because I talk about the Z pattern in my class, and often
Oh yeah.
I'll mention it, and students are like, "What? A Z pattern? What do you mean?" And I'm like, "It makes total sense." Did you ever see the
Yeah. It's almost like looking at a quilt. It's like looking at a quilt or a tapestry sometimes when you go back far enough, right? It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. Did you ever see the little video that Mitch Breitweiser did
Mhm.
that had who's the artist, Curtis? Come on, help me out. He did the cat and mouse cover.
Oh, I forget, but it was. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. It was great though. He explained the
Yeah.
flow from panel to panel.
Right. Yeah. And he took
You know what's really cool is I was looking. Yeah, but what's really cool is looking at John Romita Jr. stuff lately. If you look, his upper right hand corner of almost every page that he does always has a diagonal slant back down. It's almost like clockwork when you look at his Daredevil, the Man
Yeah.
Without Fear. Look in that upper right hand corner, and every single time there's just diagonal that just leads you back down. It's great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's a great a great video. I keep telling myself I'm going to email Mitch and asking me if he'd let me incorporate that into my class so that my students can actually see it, explained in great detail. Because he does a really good job explaining that. So looking really good, Quentin.
Thank you.
So any other I got 10:42, which means got 20 minutes, and I think that probably Death in Comics is longer than a 20-minute conversation. Um,
Agree.
Yeah.
so
Well, because
Any-
it's not. Is it real?
well, and I think that's all, or is it Memorex, or that's all part of the that's all part of the discussion, right?
Remember X?
So
Is
is there
that
any
the old
other
tape?
thoughts
Anybody
about
really die?
right in comics? So all right, so back to Comixology. So I guess maybe here's a question. I don't know, or let me make a statement first, and then you guys chime in. Okay. So I've talked to people who have product on both Indie Planet and on Comixology, and no one that I have ever spoken to, except for one person who I don't think I believe this person, has said they really have made any money digitally, right? I mean, there's lots of
Yeah.
stuff for sale, but I've never talked to anyone that says, "Oh yeah, we did pretty good digitally." No, everybody's always, "Yeah, it's out there and we've sold some, but I don't really get that much." And I'm talking about people on Indie Planet and people on Comics. Fruit Bat's asking a question about covers, and people on Comixology. So I guess sort of for me, it kind of boils down to I don't know how valuable that is for us to spend our time doing it when I don't know anyone who's really making any money. What do you guys think?
No.
If
I
it's
don't
offers.
I don't know. I mean, it could be another avenue just to put them on. I mean, you could actually just put them on there, not advertise, and have them be available. Of course, the problem is you have to cut. I mean, like when I used to sell them, it was like $1.99, 99 cents. Anything above that, people are like, well, I'm not paying that for a digital file, and it's like, so I didn't like the price, tag that came down. I put, I post my Galleons on Webtoons. and anybody watching this stream is going to find this out. What I plan on doing is after I post the whole thing, I'm going to keep it up for a month, and then I'm just deleting the entire account. And
Wow.
that's been planned for a while. So basically, it's like you've been able to read it, you got your preview, but if you don't jump in and read it that way, and then when I start selling it, they can't go like, well, it's online. It's like, not anymore.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it was one of the ways.
Makes sense.
But I posted online to test out the story to see what people's reaction to the story was, knowing how different the story is to most comics. So I want a
Okay.
little bit of it.
So do you change it based on reaction then?
No, I mostly just want to know if people can understand it, because there's a little bit of philosophy in there
Uh-huh.
when I talked about it, and so I just wanted to, like, people gonna grab, and they so far people are like, oh yeah, we get this. I'm like, okay, good. It's more of like a measuring stick to see, do I need to change it
Right.
myself, or people getting it? People seem to be getting it, so I'm like, okay, that's good. So yeah.
That's better than your family
My
looking
big
over
question
it and
is
being like, yeah, this is great, Aaron.
Yeah. This is fantastic. Yeah. So that's what but and then, because I'd like to eventually sell it as books. I mean, the whole thing is, my book is, even when you look at it, has chapter breaks, chapter 1, chapter 2. I mean, it's
Mhm.
built to be one book,
Yeah.
but it's really hard to sell one huge $300 comic without some sort of cheap entryway in to check it
Right.
out. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
What were you going to say, Curtis?
I don't know, something important.
Oh no, I was just gonna say what I was curious about is, and I don't know how we could get the information, but of the people that pirate, how many of those people would have bought it anyways?
Yeah.
Is you know what I mean? I mean, are pirates
Yeah.
just people that just pirate stuff? And if that's the case, then kind of hell to it all and just post it up there and we get the people.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't be curious
Yeah.
what the ratio is. You know?
Rob Davis says, I have a bunch of comics on Indie Planet and haven't made very much money. Fruitbag says, gotta skip, got a book, skip the cover talk. Okay. He says, have a great night. Fruitbag, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I really appreciate it. And then he
Bye.
said, well, if you have digital files, you might as well post them online.
Yeah,
So-
I think my biggest, strangely, my biggest Achilles heel is why a lot of people don't read my comic on Webtoons is because I'm just not formatting it for Webtoons. You have to do that long scrolling where you
Mhm.
rip all the thing, and I'm
Yeah.
just not. It's just not worth it for me to go and do that for something to give away for free. It's like, you can
Yeah.
read it in its original form. I don't need to. I can't read it on the phone, and I'm like, I don't care. If I was getting paid for it, that'd be a different story. But I'm not. So,
Right.
and in other words, so if people aren't reading it because of that, then and I've always done better in person. As stranger selling at conventions and comic shops, I've always seemed to do better. I think
Mhm.
my book personally looks better because it's built to look like individual old tombs and
Right.
stuff, homes and stuff. So there's a different look to it. So it's just different. My friend suggested that I do Webtoons. I was never going to. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. It's been okay. And the reaction to it. So
I'm writing down Delilah Dirk, Fruitbat. He said, don't forget to check out Delilah Dirk. So, yeah, Haley and I have talked about doing Bear on Webtoons, and for me, most of the interest is to check it out because I've never had anything on there. I hear a lot of people talk about it. I have a hard. It goes back to the giving it away for free. I have a hard time with that because like I'm giving you away this whole book for free here, and there's no real way to make money from Webtoons, and so and I think it'd be different maybe if there's like, hey, here's a tip jar. If you like the book, then give us some money. But
thing
or
also
maybe
about Webtoons and a lot of online comics is it really caters to manga, especially, I guess, is it romantic, or
Mm.
I don't know if it's shoujo or romantic type manga. I mean, Webtoons are both really cater, and I know that's why my comic's not doing well, because it's not complete manga, cute girl romance manga. I mean, everybody who does that just goes shooting off the chart. Not everyone, but a lot.
right.
So that might be a detriment. And this is why I always talk, like, I would love if somebody somewhere, like, if they made an American webcomics platform for American type comics, I'd be curious to see that, because almost every web comic platform, because you go there for the audience, but almost all those platforms are geared towards manga readers. but mostly female manga readers.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing a superhero comic on Webtoons, it could be the best. It could be Watchmen, and it'll probably crash and burn just because the audience doesn't care about that.
Right. Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. Steven says, I learned about this one guy who puts his comic on Kickstarter and Etsy, and he prints his one book and laminates the covers. That sounds expensive, I guess.
Yes.
And then he says, do you think I should ask Comic Shop to see if they would help sell the comic?
Yeah. I would.
I think absolutely. I think that's a no-brainer. You should go to your local comic shop, wherever you get your comics, and talk to them and let them know that you got a comic coming out. My experience is I have found that not all, but most local comic shops will support a local creator.
Yeah.
Again, not all of them. Some of them, some of them
Sometimes.
are. Yeah, again, sometimes, and some of them are like, no, we're only going to buy Batman. If you do, I actually had a store tell me one time, hey, if you write Batman, I'll order those. Yeah, but I'm not writing Batman. I'm writing my thing. Right? So
Yeah, I've had that a few. Most shops I know, and it really comes down to shelf space,
yes,
as dumb as it is. But I've had shops say no. I mean, I would never. I mean, go ask away. I mean, all I could do is say no, and then you just got to learn how to burst into tears on command, so they get them to change their mind.
right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Tommy says, good to see everyone. Have a great week. Thank you, Tommy.
See you, Tommy.
You as well. Gonna be placing a ginormous order tonight, dude. So be looking for it. Yeah, burst into tears on
Humongous.
command. Yeah, I think the other thing is, don't just count on one store.
Yeah.
Make yourself available to, I mean, put a pin in it, put a compass in the map, and then draw, a ring around where you live, and where you're comfortable, how far you're comfortable driving to support it. And, and then contact every shop within that ring, within that circle, and say, hey, I made a comic, or I'm making a comic, and I'd love for you to get it. And, I'm close enough that I can drive, and we can do an autograph signing, at the same time, to support the book. If they can get you in, a lot of them though will go for the quote unquote the event. Hey, look, we're having a comic creator in here. It's a way that they can try to get more readers in the store as well. So yeah, I think that's a great idea, Steven. I think that's something you absolutely need to do.
You have a store around here, Cosmic Monkey. Shout out to them. It's one of my favorite comic stores, but I sign with them a lot. I think they're the only ones that let me do signings. Other stores around here, there's a few other shops I haven't been to just because they're further away, and I don't know if I haven't gotten there. But I have Cosmic Monkey's one that they'll do sales, like weekend sales, and then bring me and other people in to sign. So it'll be a signing event and then the sale event, and they combine it to get people for the sale and the sign. And those are fantastic. So
Yeah.
even if your store doesn't do that, maybe suggest that's an idea. They've done that, and they've been pretty successful so far.
Yeah.
And of course, if you can also get any sort of signing avenues for Free Comic Day, that's huge.
Well, and that's one of the things that Rob Davis just said. He said, free comic book day. See if they'll let you set up a table at their shop that day.
Mhm.
And I agree. Free comic book day is a fantastic day. I have done free comic book day at several of the local stores around here. And really probably settled on one of our supporters, Coliseum of Comics, who have had some really good free comic book days. And the thing about it is, free comic book day, that's the day they're already getting people in. So people are coming in not to see you, but they're coming in to get their free comics. And the fact that you're there is like, oh, cool, I can get free comics. And this guy does comics. Now, the thing that I've had to the thing that I've had to be careful of is they think that my comics are free too.
I don't think I've had that. That's a good one.
Yeah, they'll walk and get their free comics, and they come around for me. Oh, cool. Well, I'll take this one. I'm like, yeah, that one's not free. I'm sorry. You got to pay for that one. So, um,
I'm trying to now. I'll have to look out for that. I'm trying to think if I've ever had that. No, I don't.
Now
I
I'm
don't,
gonna
and
have
they
to
put
do
us
that
right.
to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put us right next to the free table too.
Yep. Well, it's because usually they have kind of a line going, right? So they want to stream the people, and that's what they've done. Places I've been is that you get to be part of the line of people coming into the shop, getting their free comics, and then they're come around and see you, and it's like, oh, cool. And then they some of them, not all, just say, oh, these are free too. Stephen Brown says,
wondered.
what's
Do
that?
Last free comic book day was 2019.
Wow, really? Well, it's because we didn't do one in 2020 and 20. Yeah. I was sitting here thinking, wow, really? But they're like, no, that's me too.
I was the only one there last time.
Steven says, right now the closest one I know of is Coliseum of Comics, and I know there's one with a sign that just says comic. Yeah, so Coliseum of Comics is a chain. If you can get so you must be in the Orlando area. So so I want to say, don't hold me to that. I want to say there's about 13 stores for Coliseum of Comics. So if you can get in with them, then that's a pretty nice thing.
Yeah, and I've had some. I mean, we have Things from Another World, which I think has 2 stores. They used to have 3. I think it has 2 now. Owned by Dark Horse. So they're ones that are very hard to get into. For me, if I come up, they don't carry a lot of independent, but like Cosmic Monkey. And there's one called Comic Cave that does a lot of independent. So usually, if the person owns the store independently, they're more than happy. If they're corporate owned,
Right.
it's a little harder. And it's not that they don't want to; there's just too much red tape, so they don't
Right.
bother.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If you're not in the Diamond catalog, we don't really order it.
we don't care. Yeah.
Rob says this year free comic book day is in the fall. Rob, do you know the date for that by any chance? I don't know that off the top of my head. I do remember that it's going to be later in the year, but I can't remember when it is.
No, I'm not sure. I heard that too. That it postponed to the fall.
Yeah. Well, guys, our time is winding down. Anybody have any? I know it flies, doesn't it? Time flies with these things.
White comic book covers. I think they should have them.
Yeah.
I'm personally against
Comics
covers.
without
I think covers are a
clutter.
waste of time.
I
Comics
think
without
they
cover is
should.
bad.
Go ahead, Curtis.
If I can add a Todd McFarlane story, right, about covers. I went to the Los Angeles Science Fiction Convention, right, which is at the Shrine Auditorium, and this is back when I was working at Malibu, and they were publishing Image, and Todd McFarlane came on stage, and it was the first time I found out Image was leaving Malibu, because Todd McFarlane was yelling at the audience saying, "We're going to be leaving Malibu," and everybody was all screaming, and of course I was shocked because I didn't know that. But the funniest part is he was talking about the variant covers and how upset he was with him. And keep in mind, this is peak 1990s. He pulled out an issue of Bloodshot #1 with the crazy color chromium Barry Windsor Smith, image on it. And he held it up to everybody and he goes, "You see this comic book?" And he grabbed the cover and he ripped it off and threw it in the audience. And he says, "Would you still buy this comic book if it didn't have this cover?" He goes, "That's what you should be thinking." And you could just hear all the fanboys just gasping in shock, and it was a really rock star moment. I'll never forget. When I think covers, I think of Todd McFarlane in that.
Yep.
So I just thought I'd share that.
He's been like the businessman genius when it comes to what he does.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I told someone, I can't remember who it was. I told someone the other day, maybe even been on the stream. I said that when I said that I wasn't it was at our convention because I was talking to Dante. I said, you know what, I'm not really a Spawn fan, and I'm not really a Todd McFarlane as a creator fan as much. I like his work. Don't get me wrong. It's just like I'm not Todd McFarlane, but I am a fan of Todd McFarlane, the person. I absolutely love his spirit of independence, his spirit of get it done.
Tourism,
What's that?
entrepreneurism.
Yes,
Well, he's
I
got a passion that's unrivaled. Too.
yes, and I love that. I absolutely love that. There's one of his interviews. I'd love to listen to his interviews. He's like, you don't like your job? Well, I got an answer for you. Quit. you don't like your shoes? Well, I got the answer for you. Get another pair.
When
Yep.
when he's drawing, he's sitting there making noises as he's drawing, like we're gonna do this, and he's like,
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'm a fan of Todd McFarlane. I'd love to listen to the guy, and I think I love his spirit and his passion.
I think honestly, out of the big names, I think the three most passionate people about the industry has got to be Todd, Rob, and believe it or not, Jim Lee. I've heard stories of Jim Lee going off on folks for mishandling people's stuff.
All right, so Rob just messaged that Free Comic Book Day is Saturday, August the 14th this year.
I'm gonna have to pass that off of the day job, so I can be a part of that.
That is the same. Okay, this is really weird because MegaCon in Orlando is slated to be that weekend, so that's interesting.
Well, it is MegaCon.
Yeah, but it's MegaCon. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, thank you,
There will
Rob.
be comic books there. Oh,
That's true.
whoops! I need some more tea.
Rob says, "I'm impressed with how long Todd McFarlane has kept up Savage. What? Not Savage
That's
Dragon.
Eric Larson.
That's Eric. Yeah, that's Eric Larson. Eric Larson is Savage Dragon. Todd McFarlane is Spawn. So, but yeah, either one of them, and actually both of them, of all the original 7, they're the only 2 to really kind of keep going. Okay, so let's bring this to a wrap. Rob said, "Oh, I meant Spawn." Let's bring this to a wrap here. We'll go around and tell everyone. John, tell everyone where they can find you on the interwebs, please.
Everywhere except for OnlyFans. I don't have one of those. So buy my art.
You gonna do
I
it?
don't have a body for that. So
Are you on Twitch?
Are you kidding? You'd make bank, John.
John, are you on Twitch?
Actually, I've signed up for Twitch like years and years ago,
Uh-huh.
but I haven't done anything on it.
You should do one of those hot tub videos.
That's amazing.
Don't you think, Brett?
Oh yeah, have some slow jam going in the back. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
For another 50 followers, I'll stand up.
and that's what everybody like. They're paying me to stay seated.
Yeah.
But you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, all those places.
Sweet.
You'll either see this ugly mug, or if, or like something saying something about an artistic Viking. So
Or Voltan.
yeah, or you may even see Voltan.
That's right. Rob Davis said, "Ew." Aaron, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
That's classified. You can find me on Facebook at Aaron Humphreys or Humphreys Illustration, Instagram at ALH3810, and then Webtoons. My Godlings is on Webtoons. Other than that, I don't touch the Twitch. I read the sign above the gate to Twitch that said "Abandon all hope, you who enter here." I took that to heart and turned around and left. So I don't
have
go to
hope
Twitch.
anyway for anything, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
He's like, I got nothing to lose, dude. I just wandered on through. Why is everything on fire? What the? So yeah, that's it. That's where you can find me.
All right, sweet. Curtis, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Sure. You can find me, my comic book, Shadow Ghost. You can find it on Instagram and Facebook, Shadow Ghost Comic. You can also find all my martial arts related stuff with my school, Tiger Crane Kung Fu. We have a new website, tigercrane.net. So you can head over there. All the social media links are there. And we have an online program if you're interested in checking that out. That's where you can find me.
Yes, and if you
Taking
wanna
it.
do
It
martial-
really works.
Yeah.
Not yet. When I lose a little bit of weight, though, I'm gonna be in there.
Oh, you don't need to lose the weight. You got more power
Oh, I
behind the
do.
punch.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Ugh. Right. Quentin, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
I am on Facebook as Quentin Bedwell. I'm on Discord as Kenobi, QENOBIE. I am on DeviantArt as QJB. A lot of different stuff. Game Crafter, Relic Quest. And that's it.
All right, sweet. And I'm Roland. You can find me on all of the appropriate social media places. Roland Man Roland, and some of them. Mostly you can find me hanging out on all the Silverline places, which includes here. And we're on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook.
He's the one doing the hot tub.
No, not me. There's too much gray in here for me to do a hot tub, right? Shout out to our sponsors again. We want to thank History Camp and Daytona Beach Comic Con. Fantastic sponsors. We appreciate you. Don't forget, everyone, to we don't say this enough, y'all, but please don't forget to wherever you're listening to us, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Share it out. Make sure all of your friends are aware that we exist. We want to try to get some. We want to try to get our numbers up. We were running a contest for some numbers, but I've kind of lost track of that. I'm not sure where we are. So yeah, please like, subscribe, bells, all that other kind of stuff. Don't forget we have a merch store. And you can find our, as Curtis is showing the beautiful Silverline mug right there. And you can find, if you've missed our comics, you can find them on Indie Planet. We are always going to make them available on our Kickstarter so that you can get them. That's a handy and convenient way to get them. Lastly, don't forget that we're taking all of the streams and we're turning them into podcasts. So if you prefer to listen to audio only and not see our gorgeous faces and watch the art stream, then you can listen to us on podcast, which you can also find on our website that updates regularly. We do want to know that if all goes as planned, and I have no reason not to think that next week we will starting at a new time. Next week, we're going to move the show to 8 p.m. And so we'll run 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time instead of 9 to 11 p.m. After next week, the rest of the week will change as well. We'll let Wednesday talk to you about that when the Whammers come on Wednesday. Any last comments, fellas? All right. Well, you know what's next. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. And remember to make mine
mine
Silverline.
Silverline.
Mine, Silverline.
Bye, everybody.